What's going on, EDC people, and what's our journey today? I'm trying kind of a new angle on the camera, so you'll have to let me know if you like it first of all. But the journey is not the banter, although keep your eyes out for that soon. Even though it's still not in stock, I'm gonna get that review going because we know it's coming soon. But I always have to put something out kind of to trick you. Today we're talking Spyderco Smock. The Spyderco Smock, it's a Spyderco knife. It was designed by Kevin Smock, and his maker's mark is right here. You can also see while we're here that it was from the Taichung, Taiwan plant for Spyderco, which is pretty well known as their best fit and finish plant that they have. And so that makes it basically one of a kind, even for Spyderco. In fact, it's kind of impressive that Spyderco went this route because it's that kind of strange. So I'll tell you some things about it. The blade steel is CPM S30V. See if I can bring that right up to you. Okay. Well, first of all, it's a sheep's foot blade, is what I've kind of come up with as the consensus for what the blade shape is. It's obviously hollow ground. The blade length is 87.63 millimeters. Okay, that's the blade length. I do have it in inches because I took it from the website, and it's 3.45 inches. As you know, as I keep saying, most of the time when I measure, it's going to be in millimeter. Let's put it on our little journey bridge here for a minute for display. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay. The overall length is 7.95 inches. That comes out to 201.93 millimeters. So it's just about an 8-inch knife overall. The handle length is 4.5 inches, 114 millimeters. So you have a 3.45 inch blade and a 4.5 inch handle. Therefore, 7.95 inch overall. The weight, let's check that right now. And now this is with the an aftermarket Lynch clip. If that makes any difference to you guys as far as the weight's concerned, I don't know how different it would be than a Spyderco clip. I'm sure it's not that terribly different. In grams, 101.92. In ounces, 3.594. So, you know, I heard that it's about an ounce an inch. The thickness, the blade stock. Let's take that measurement. Let me zoom in so you guys can see this even better. Got my trusty caliper here. I got 3 millimeters. Let's see, we could do the handle too. You might as well while we have everything out and zoomed in. The handle, I believe, is flat across. It is a, let's see, 11.4. You know, 11.3. Let me see if I can get under the Lynch clip there. 11.3. So yeah, it's pretty much a straight handle from top to bottom on the Smock. Let's look at the tip, especially because of the design. Are you still zoomed in? Of course, I always do that. You know, a sheep's foot design, I've been told many times that you want the, you know, especially this part when referring to the tip, to be thick. You want that to have some heft to it because you're going to do a lot of, you know, you're going to do put a lot of pressure on that area. So at that point, let me look around the camera. At that point, we've got about 2.5 millimeters. Okay. Depth. At its thickest, it's about 24.6, it looks. Okay. And while we're doing this, I measure also the flat, as you see here, the flat part compared to the hollow, to the apex. So let's try, if we can, to go from the apex to the flat. That's about 12.5, 12.6. So let's just say 12.5. That's not very much. You know, that's if it were a straight grind, we wouldn't be doing too well. But it's a hollow ground blade, so that's a fair measurement to make. Let's talk about the choil. A lot of people talk about the choil, so let's get that out of the way too. It is kind of a weird shape. First of all, you absolutely can get your finger in there and get right up on there, right up on that sheep's foot to do some real precision work or heavy work, heavy pushing. It works really well for that reason. Also, because of that, it gives it a great sharpening choil. You certainly have plenty of room to sharpen, and as a hollow grind, you can go quite a ways. Oh, that's right, that's what I was going to say. The shape of it, you know, a lot of people know this already, but it's not a push button technically as you would imagine. You know, it's not like a ProTech automatic or something like that. It's a compression lock, just like other Spydercos, where you can see the button actually pushes the liner over. So instead of, I actually have an example right here. On the Para 3, this is a compression lock where you would normally push with your finger, push that liner out of the way, and the blade drops. Yeah, I'm adding this in after the fact, guys, because I completely forgot to point out the whole shape thing. When you drop it down, that shape actually is what fits into where that push button barrel would be. So that explains the kind of weird shaped finger / sharpening choil. On this one, it's on the opposite side, so that the button is on this side, and it drops. Now, it's dropping like that for a reason. This model usually has 2 detent balls. One of those detent balls was taken out. This is not my smock. This is on borrow from Neves Knives. A lot of people do this with their smock. If you know, normally on a out of the box, if you press that button, it's not going to just fall or swing open. It's going to have a slowness to it. I believe that it actually kind of makes it in some. I've heard that it kind of makes it some kind of form of automatic if you do that. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not a lawyer. Check that out before you do it if you're in certain weird states or cities, but it is more fidget friendly. The fidget factor is way better with the other detent ball taken out. And I'm totally failing at doing everything on this right now in front of the camera. Okay. Oh, ergos. Handle material. This is kind of a controversial subject with the you know, Spyderco, well, really the EDC community. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm going to zoom in on it for a second here. What it is carbon fiber over G10. A lot of people don't like that. They wish it was just carbon fiber, but you know, I get it. The texture on it, you know, I think it doesn't look bad, to be honest with you, and it gives it a texture that's very kind of grippy. Let's see if I can, let me zoom back out. And again, I don't know where I gotta find out where the microphone is on this phone, but so it's smooth, but when you're handling it, it gets a good grip. Of course, it's got the trademark Spidey hole, so you can deploy it that way. You know, the way it's set up right now, you have 3 deployments, like a lot of Spydercos. You have the flipper tab, which we're going to get back to. You have the spidery flick, which I failed at. And you have the push button. You can just push the button down and swing it out. That's, I believe, what you really can't do with the other detent. I believe if you press the button, you would have to like whip it with your wrist to really get it to open. You can do it, but there's resistance. I believe that's what that's my understanding on it. It's got a real boxy, kind of like neutral shape to it. You know, some people like it, some people don't. It's definitely a polarizing design. you're either gonna like it or you're not, which is kind of a blanket statement for anything, I guess. But one thing I do like about the boxy design is, one, it's slim in my pocket. But now let's get back to that flipper tab. The flipper tab is obviously way above the pivot, right? It's way up here, and it doesn't look normal, does it? It's a square. It's just totally squared off. Being that high, it's pretty hard if you use the light switch, if you light switch it to fail. It's very, you can fail it purposely if you just try to like push it. You can control it, but being that far above the pivot, if you, by the time you get down there, the blade is already going fast enough and far enough that it's gonna go. It's most likely gonna deploy. It's not the tallest of knives, but because of the way it is, it's comfortable in hand. It has this kind of arc on the bottom side where your fingers go. It has this little pinky slot if you have bigger hands, or if you're coming back this far. It does have the lanyard hole. It is tip up carry. It is right hand right now, but you can switch it to left hand, as you see. So left hand, right hand, tip up. Oh, and while I don't want to forget this, while we're on the topic of the flipper, being the way that it is, two things. Number one, when you flip it out, the flipper is not there at the bottom. Let me show you an example. And it just so happens to be the only other hollow grind knife I have, but it's really nothing compared to this Smock. When I flip this flipper tab out, there it is. And there's the flipper tab there, right? Kind of as a choil. But it's there, it's present. It gets in the way if you want to do, flat cutting, as I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to show you here. On this guy, let me flip it open. It's perfectly smooth in there, so you can get right down flat if you desire to, which is really pretty cool in my opinion. And that also provides one more great thing, and that is that when it's in your pocket, I'm trying to show an example here. It's in your pocket. The flipper tab is flat right there. It's not gonna, it does have a little tip there, but it's way better than normal. It's not gonna be really pecking at whatever's in your pocket. I still wouldn't trust it with my cell phone in the same pocket, but compared to even just the Civivi, the Elementum, you've got something there pecking at whatever, whereas this does not. And I thought that was pretty cool. Now, as for the clip, as I said, this is an aftermarket titanium winch clip. It's obviously the way to go if you can afford it. Most people who get Spydercos, who want to invest in them, who want to actually use them and carry them and use them as EDC knives, a lot of them go to the the MXG or the Lynch clips to get the deeper carry, first of all, and it's more comfortable in hand, where it swells up high, giving you plenty of room in your pocket. By the way, it doesn't really bother you whatsoever, especially when you're up here on this choil. You can see that fat part is not even touching my hand when I'm up here, which is a lot of times where I am. And even if I'm not, it's barely there, and what is in there just kind of tucks into the fat of my palm. I don't feel it whatsoever. Okay. As opposed, I do have, let's say, we'll pull out, I think this is the Efficient, I always forget the name of it. Has the typical Spyderco, let me put that blade back in, there's no reason for it to be out. The typical Spyderco, like spoon clip, I think it's called, which is just, it's not comfortable. No one really, I don't think, understands what the deal is with Spyderco's clips. I heard I can't remember what YouTuber it was, but they were joking that maybe Spyderco has some kind of stock in Lynch or something where, you know, they know that you're just going to go ahead and buy the other $20 clip anyways, so they just keep going. I think that Spyderco could figure out by now that we prefer clips more like this than this. Both of these have the typical Spyderco clip, and I've never handled a Smock, you know, a non-whatever. I've never handled a Smock with the factory clip, but I must only can assume that it would be about the same. But compare the difference. I mean, let me just put one of these down. In pocket, this is what you're seeing. This is what the difference is. And we're talking about a way longer knife, I believe, in the Smock. I'll double check in a second, but you know, on the Efficient, you have all of this sitting up here, including the shiny, beautiful clip. Whereas on this one, you have a nice looking stonewashed titanium clip and just this little bit of carbon fiber out the top, which basically no one's going to see anyways, and is just enough to pinch out if you want to. I said I would check, so I'm sorry if I keep hitting the camera with my hat. I always do that. And yeah, so maybe it's not significantly longer, but it is significantly longer. I'm not going to go over the Lynch clip itself too much, just because it's not what Spyderco sends. It's a great clip, everyone knows that. Gives you plenty of room, it's springy, looks good, makes it the deep carry, as I just said. That's enough about that. If you got the regular clip on your Smock, it's springy, but it's got this like double, it's not great. No, I don't think anyone really loves the Spyderco clips. I'm not sure of many people going to looking to buy Spyderco style clips to put on their knives. But maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. So in conclusion, you know, it's a very unique design for Spyderco. I like it a lot. I like the flipper. I like that it is a push button compression lock as opposed to just a regular compression lock. Gives it kind of a unique charm. You can still do the Spidey flick, but the hole is much smaller. It's not as obvious as, say, it's not as obvious as the typical Spyderco hole, okay? Even when closed. You know, I can see the entire Smock probably through, where's the camera? That hole. And it's just a great fun factor. It's our fidget factor. It's now let's check the sliciness. I brought my cardboard as usual. It's got Jared's edge on it, and I have not done a ton of like hard labor with this. I've definitely carried it in pocket. I've definitely used it for EDC chores, but I didn't go crazy doing all kinds of wacky batoning or anything like that. So the blade edge is still pretty sharp, or should be. It's always a trick to do this. Well, now there's a sticker, so that's a whole other story. Let me get out of there before he messes up his blade. Here's one with no sticker. You know, and if you hold it right, like most sheep's foot designs, how do you say that? You're gonna enter around the tip, you know, and this is kind of the best of both worlds, because you have the strong tip, but a rounded belly too, so you can have the kind of like stroking or whatever, as well as the piercing, as well as the fine detail work, especially with that thick stock. CPM S30V I still think is a great steel. You know, I'm not into this enough to be able to compare S30V to S35VN. I've heard people swear by S35VN, how much greater it is, and Chris Reeves involved, and the heat treat and this and that, and chippy. You know, I've had no problems at all with my S30V Spyderco, Para 3. That's in CPM S30V. So, take it for what it is. I think it's a good steel still, and don't let that turn you down. I think that it's just as good, to be honest with you. Now, especially for an everyday EDC carry, what exactly do you do with your knives? We're talking EDC here, so this isn't necessarily the knife that you're bringing to the construction yard. Maybe it is, and maybe it's right there. I don't know. I'm not a construction worker. If you are, let me know down below. But if this to me is a fidget knife, it's a pocket knife. It's a knife that I'm going to use around for cardboard, for your basic EDC chores. And for that, S30V is more than enough, to be honest, if we're honest with ourselves. I know we all kind of want to see Maximate or something on there, but let's just be real. I gotta put it on the EDC Journeys bridge before we close out here. So that having been said, like usual, I have taken many pictures. That's the Spyderco Smock. I love it. I almost bought this off of Neves Knives. Maybe another time. I want to give both Kara and Jared an extremely huge thank you for all they've done for me. They've sent me 4 knives to review that I would never have had a chance to do without their help. And Kara had designed my logo. She actually designed it many times, redesigned it, made it better, upgraded it, all just out of the kindness of her heart. She's a great lady, and Jared's a great dude, and I appreciate the both of you for everything you've done for me and my channel, and I won't forget it. And yeah, Spyderco Smock. I am still going to take a couple more days to play with it, though, before I send it back. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Unless you need it right away. You'll have to let me know that. But pretty soon, a few days. Okay, that's it. And the next thing you'll see is a few photos and my end scroll or whatever. Have a great day, guys. The next video to come out will be a sharpening video, as I promised yesterday, but didn't do. If you enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.